Hi, what's up you guys? This is HJ here, and today's video I'm going to be reviewing this Victus. I believe it's been about, 6 months since I last got it, so October, maybe? And no, it's almost May, and I kinda have not been keeping that much track of time since then, since I'm currently in college, and yeah, so a little bit of background information as to why I use this thing is primarily for school and gaming. Now, I don't have the box with me to unbox it because I actually did a review back when I first got this computer. I did a review where I talked about the unboxing experience. So today I'm just going to be talking about it from the perspective as a student and someone who does do a little bit of gaming on the side. Granted, school's Wi-Fi won't allow us to do much gaming, but start off with the ports because I know some of you guys are probably curious. And I know a lot of you guys probably did not watch the first video, so I'm going to recap that. So starting up here on the top left, you're going to have your power port, your USB 3, your headphone combo jack, and for whatever reason, if you're like me and you need extra storage, you can use an SD card reader. You can use anything up to 1 terabyte, 2 terabytes. I think 2 terabytes is the highest you can go with those. The SDXC cards. But you can get an SD card slot, or if you're a content creator like me, I usually use it for storage just because my computer has 1 terabyte and I have a whole backlog. On this side, from right to left, you have the HDMI port. I believe that's 2.1. It might be 2.0. I'm gonna have to confirm that later. This is a USB 3A port again. You have the RJ45 port. It's an Ethernet jack for those of you who don't understand that technical jargon, or who might understand the technical jargon and need it simplified a little bit more. And be careful when opening these drop doors, because sometimes if you open them too far or you pull them the wrong way, they are fragile, they can break. This one is a USB-C Type-C, sorry. It's not Thunderbolt. This is an all AMD laptop, so it's not going to have Thunderbolt. The Intel version actually doesn't have Thunderbolt. And if you see that little Thunderbolt icon on the side, that's not actually the Thunderbolt icon for 40 gigabits. That's actually an always-on port. I know some people may say you have power delivery or some form of, charging method through that. You can't. I know with the Omen, my friend, if you have 140 watts, you can technically do that on that charging port. This one, for whatever reason, does not support that. Now, for whatever reason, it does support one-hand opening, at least. Am I not tripping here? Yes, it does support one-hand opening. You can do it from the top, or you can do it from the side. But if you do it from the side, be careful, because this is a single tier hinge, so it will mess it up if you pull it too hard. Trust me, I know. We're not going to talk about my mishaps with computers in the past. It does have a backlit keyboard. Now, it looks purplish tint on the camera, or bluish tint on the camera, but that's just because of the lighting. If I turn these lights off, you'd notice that it's a full white backlit keyboard. Let that light adjust a little bit. Now, you don't need to see my pen here, so I'm going to turn away from the camera. And you guys will see that this is an all AMD laptop, so it's got Ryzen 5 5600H. This model, the RX 6500M, is actually not available anymore, so if you bought it prior to 2023, the end of 2023, you can keep it, or you can get replacement parts, but you can't order these things brand new, at least not this model. Now, you can get the AMD NVIDIA model, and you can get the Intel NVIDIA model, but you can't get the AMD Advantage model anymore. I checked on their website. It said it's been discontinued, and then it's permanently out of stock. So just a heads up on that. So kudos to me for getting the one that has less ray tracing cores, prior to them discontinuing it. Great job. Sarcasm. So, anyways, yes, you guys do have the RX 6500M. It is a 4 gig card. Now, if you go with the 4050 model, which is the most recent model, you can get a 6 gigabyte card. If you go with the 3060 or 3050 model or 3050 Ti, you may get a 4 gig card or 6 gig card, depending on which one you pick up. The 2050 variant is a 4 gig card as well. And then, of course, you have your Radeon integrated graphics, that dedicated GPU memory up there. That doesn't mean anything. They just, the companies, when they do integrated graphics, they put that as a placeholder because the system has to reserve that, but it's never usable. I've tried it before. It's not usable at all. So that's not going to matter. I do have 16 gigs of RAM. It's DDR4, so it's 3200. I'm going to tear this thing down if I can find where the heck I put my tools, so you guys can see the inside of it. And I'm also going to show you guys the upgrade path and the method that I took to remove a piece that was blocking my ability to put a 70 watt-hour battery in here. So if you have another Victus that's old, like an Intel model, and you have a 70 watt-hour battery and no longer works, for whatever reason, you have a 2050, or you have this model prior to it being discontinued and you want to swap the battery out, that battery can technically fit, although they don't sell it for this particular model on their website. If you have another Victus and this doesn't work anymore, you can transfer that battery over, and I will show you how to do that as well. Now, the gaming test was done separately. I tested the City Skylines game a while back. I'll leave a link to that video shortly after this video is posted in the description, so you guys can go see how that performs. And might I say, it was a little bit. It had some stutters, but for a card or a game that requires a 3080 minimum, and this is like a couple steps down, it actually performed pretty well. I was getting 24 to 40 maybe. And that was while plugged in, so I mean it's okay. It's not gonna be like, you know, performing at 200 freaking FPS on a ray tracing game on like extreme, but I mean, hey, if you're gonna play it on medium or high mix, like I can easily hit between 60 to 90 on Destiny 2 in a Gambit match, and still have card room and breathing room to spare. So I mean, it's not bad for a 4 gig card. Now, as a student, you guys do have your productivity apps. They do run really well. I actually have some projects, previous YouTube videos actually, that you may have seen or may not have seen, and to show you guys how well this thing exports, I'm actually going to go in, and if I can actually get a project that's actively available, I'm going to try and go in and see if I have the video files. If the video files are here, I'm going to export it. This is the Destiny 2 video. I'm going to do 720p. I should do 1080, but I'm going to do 720p just because of video time's sake. And it's starting now, and by the time I finish my little monologue that I'm gonna go over, which is gonna last about probably like 4 or 5 minutes, this thing should be done or almost done, and then that'll show you guys how fast this thing can render. Oh crap, not my Gmail. What am I doing? Okay. We're not going to talk about that. So, anyways, browsing, multitasking is pretty good. Of course, you have your Windows 11, so your multitasking features are going to be great. And this is a great laptop for if you want to have, like, multiple desktops. Like, say you're at home, you want to name this personal, you want to have another one for school. I'm going to name this one work, for example, and you're just working on your laptop, and you can actually turn this backlight off. So if you turn that backlight off and you're on the work tab and you're doing just casual like emails or stuff like that, and no one's really going to notice that this is actually a gaming laptop. And actually, if you even if they look at the vent on the back, it doesn't scream gaming. And the reason why I say that is because okay, let me backtrack, because I've heard a lot of people say that nobody's going to know that this is a gaming laptop. That is somewhat true. There's some truth to that. But let me tell you something. the older we get, and the more people from our generation go into the management in some of these businesses who have been gamers in the past, that in about 10 to 20 years is not going to be true anymore. And I'm sorry to say that. I'm not trying to be ageist or anything, but if you're 21 now and you become 30 or 40 later, chances are your same generation that has access to these machines, if they see you with one of these at work and they're a higher level than you, they will know that it's a gaming laptop, and that's gonna be true in about 20 years. So maybe now this will not be noticeable, but in a couple years, when your peers become CEOs of big companies and you're an employee for them, and they look at this, because we're the gaming generation, they will know that this is a gaming laptop. So keep that in mind. It's coming. It's coming eventually. I just had to go to that side rant for a couple seconds, because I hear a lot of people say that, and I'm like, wait a minute, but what about our generation? Because our generation is gonna grow up eventually too, and we already know this stuff, so it's coming. So I'm just saying. But anyways, all jokes concluded. What crap? What happened to my? And guys, you know what? This is the one time I'm gonna show my face, guys. Oh my god. This is why I need to pay attention, because, see, it's still open. And look at that, we're at 39%, 40. So we got 4 minutes and 45 seconds remaining. This does not, it actually, sometimes it can go faster than this, and like I said, it just depends on the video file. This is a 33-minute video file just about. So if you were to render like a 10-minute video file or like a 15-minute video file, you're probably going to be looking at anywhere between 3 minutes, 4.5 minutes maybe, on render times, and that's just with the GPU alone. If it's a CPU-based program, you're probably looking at about a little bit faster or slower, depending on what you're trying to render. Now I don't have Blender, so I can't test Blender, but I can tell you from what I've heard other people say that Blender works good on Intel, but if you want to use an AMD CPU, you can. The thing about rendering on this particular chip is that when you render on this particular chip, you have to keep in mind that it's an AMD CPU. Naturally, most programs are not biased towards AMD CPUs where they favor Intel, but sometimes statistically that can be debatable as to whether or not that goes a certain way. I'm more inclined, from what I've seen, to believe that it's gonna be favoring Intel, because Intel's always been, one of those, like, how do I put it? Yes, it can be for personal use and for gaming, but when you look at a lot of the machines that run Intel chips, especially like high-end business laptops, etc., most of them tend to run Intel. And that's generally just an observation. But they generally tend to run Intel. So you can kind of see why I'm saying that Intel can be a little bit biased. They can be a little bit of bias towards Intel being faster than AMD, because Intel is naturally seen on more business and office computers. Not to say you don't see any AMDs, but if you look at your XPSs and your Precisions and your Dragonflies of the world, 90% of them are rocking Intel chips. Now, if you look at your gaming laptops, you'll see more AMD chips, and that's because AMD chips are better known for their battery life. Yes, they can render stuff, but you're not gonna. But something like this that's inside this computer is gonna be good on battery life, and it's gonna prioritize battery life, because that's just what AMD chips are better known for. So I'm just saying, throwing that out there. If you do get this laptop, just know that it's not gonna be it won't necessarily be beating out an i7 or an i9 per se. It's gonna be kind of middle of the pack. It's not going to be as slow as a third gen Intel or a 11th gen or 10th gen Intel either. But it's going to be middle of the road. So expect it to not do everything, and no computer's going to do everything you want it to do. But if you have a computer that works, and it's a decent computer, if you can afford the computer, take the computer, like, or buy the computer, I should say. Don't take it, because that would be stealing, but buy the computer, okay? Because you know what? If you're satisfied with this kind of performance and this chip, you know, chances are you're gonna want this particular laptop, and I really do think this is a very good testament as to why I believe that this is a very good computer, because at the end of the day, it's mid-range specs, and you're not looking at a whole lot of issues in rendering and side projects. You're gonna be able to do almost everything you want to do, and at a low cost. Because I only paid like $669 for this. Sometimes the 2050 model, 2050 goes on sale for like $500. I've seen it as low as $450. And sometimes if you get the 3050 model or the 4050 model, they go on sale for like $800 and $900. And considering the build quality, even though it's plastic, that's not bad. And now for the Flex, because I know a lot of you guys were complaining about the Flex. Let me turn off my keyboard a little bit, or yeah. So if I really go, you're not going to notice it a whole lot from the middle. If you go looking for it, you might not. I don't seem to notice it. I don't notice any flex, but it's there. And the screen wobble for the RX model, it's there. It's not, my particular unit isn't that bad as some other reviewers have had in the past. I don't like comparing myself to them, so don't yell at me for that, but this is one of those times where I kind of have to get to my point, that my unit's not that bad. I think it varies, because if you get like a store unit, or you get a display unit from Best Buy or something, if you get if you get like a very low end spec, you know, sometimes you have to play a wild card. I think most of the time, it depends. It not only depends on the computer, but it depends on your unit too. As I noticed, people have said that this is 250 nits. It is. My screen, sometimes I can see it in broad daylight in the morning. When it's broad daylight outside, I can see it in early morning, maybe around 10ish, 11 o'clock in the morning, and it's like not that. It's not, I guess, not that bright outside. And, yeah. I'm sorry I stuttered a little bit there. I thought I heard somebody outside, or I thought I heard something, and it's like 4:16 in the morning. I'm actually a little spooked. We're not going to talk about that. I can fight for myself sometimes, even though I don't like to, because I'm a pacifist. So now that rendered in about 6-7 minutes. So 6 or 7 minutes is probably a good time for a 30-minute video. So you're probably looking at about half of that if you're rendering like 15 or 10-minute video, and that's at 720p. Now, if you render at 1080p, you want to double the half. You don't want to double what was halved, and you want to actually double what was the full export time. So we're probably looking at about anywhere between 15 to 20 minutes for a 30-minute video file on 1080p. 4K, I can't test 4K because I don't have a 4K camera, and there's no 4K content available for me to use as a sample, because I don't have a 4K camera. I'm actually using my phone to record this right now, so give a brother props when, you know, and tries to do a review so hard, and for the most part does a good job, and in some cases doesn't have the equipment, you know. One of those days. So now this is not the last thing I want to look at. That's actually second to last. So this screen is 144 Hertz. Now, what that translates to is, if you're in a game and let's say you want to run Destiny 2, or you want to run Overwatch or Fortnite in performance mode or DirectX 11 mode. I actually tried Fortnite in DirectX 12. Believe it or not, it actually hit 60 FPS. Now, it was crazy stuttery, like it would stutter once or twice every 5 minutes. Wasn't too bad, because I was with a friend, I was still able to get victory, well, we're able to get close to Victory Royale. We're able to place in top 20. It stuttered a little bit, but it can run DirectX 12 Fortnite. I have tried it. Now, if you run it in DirectX 11, you're looking at anywhere between 60 to 100 and maybe 100. If you run it in performance mode and you run it at 144 hertz with the frame rate cap on 165 to 200, maybe 190 something, if they're anywhere between that range, you can technically, especially in the dropping and even in menus or creative mode, you can technically max out the 144 hertz if you have the VSync set to 144 or turn it off and then set the frame rate cap to a higher refresh, the equivalent of a higher refresh rate that you don't have. You can technically max it out. I did find that was possible. If you turn VSync off and frame rate cap off entirely, which nobody's gonna do in Fortnite, let's just be honest. If you do, I don't question you. I don't question you. I question that decision. More on that in a little bit. So, you can technically turn off the frame rate cap and the VSync, and you can max it, and you can technically go well above 144 hertz, especially in creative mode where there's not a lot of people, not a lot of players. I have seen that before. It is possible. If you're playing Destiny 2, and listen to me carefully because this is very true it's for Halo and Destiny 2. If you're a Halo player or a Destiny 2 player, do not turn VSync off. If you're a 5M player, or for GTA 5, if you know what that mod is, or if you play LSPDFR, or if you play Cyberpunk, do not turn the VSync off. And I'm going to tell you why. And they may tell you it causes lag or whatnot, or some problems. I'm going to tell you why you don't turn that off. Because I found, and this was when I was just ordinarily playing a game, playing these games, that compared to when you play a real esports title versus those AAA FPS games, or even GTA 5 or the modded version anyways, when you have the VSync turned on, what that does is I guess what I'm trying to say is it keeps it from dropping. It pushes it. So, like, say, for example, I was playing 5M. When I was playing 5M, if I turned VSync off, my frames would drop and then go up and then drop like crazy. And it would cause lag spikes. When I turned VSync on, regardless of whether they said to turn it off because it causes lag, what it did is it actually did something a little bit weird. So in my case, because it's what I observed from playing it, that it forced my game to match my screen. That's what it's supposed to do. But even further than that, because the game was so demanding, the lag spikes that were there, there were lag spikes, but because it was forcing the frames to be pushed that weren't actually there, I couldn't really technically notice a whole lot of drops, even though they were significant, but I couldn't see them or notice them, at least not from my perceptual vision, and not from the naked eye, and that's because it was forcing the frames to be higher than what they actually were supposed to be. So that's why I'm telling you, don't turn off your VSync in Destiny 2, Cyberpunk, LSPDFR, or 5M, because those particular games, sometimes, if you can force your frames to be higher than what they actually normally would be by turning VSync on, there's a good chance that you may not notice the lag spikes, at least not significantly with your naked eye. They will be present, and you can tell from the FPS counter. I'll put the overlay on. I've put the overlay on in the past, and my 60 would go down to 40, and my game would, and to my naked eye, I could tell that it was technically running at 50, even though the game was running at like 34 to 40. This is just because perception and your naked eye with the game, the VSync and the FPS, they don't always line up. So if you can turn that VSync on in those games, please do it, because it's gonna make your experience a whole lot better. And I am a testament to that, because I do it all the time. Ever since I found that out, I've never turned VSync off in my Destiny 2. And I always keep it at 144. Always. even in the deepest of scenarios, I always keep it on. In 5M, I never turn it off. I never ever turn it off. The only time I'll turn VSync off is when I'm in an esports title, like Fortnite or Overwatch. And even for my Halo Infinite players, it doesn't matter for you because that's still an esports title. If you want to turn the VSync on just because, and you don't, and you're okay with that, I don't see why you shouldn't do it, because, I mean, in my opinion, 240 frames, it does make a difference, but I mean, really, if you're a casual player like me, are you really gonna need 240? Unless you're playing in a pro league, you technically don't need, quote unquote, need 240. You think you need 240, you want 240, but if you're not competing for money or prizes or something, you have to ask yourself the question: do you really, really need 240? I mean, it really just boils down to the user. I think it's the point that I'm trying to make. It depends on the user. So the last thing that I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go on to I'm gonna go into a game. Let me set my camera down. Crap. Let me hold my camera. I'm gonna go into a game with my controller, and I am going to show you guys, because I wasn't planning on doing this, but since I just made that whole rant, I'm gonna show you guys a Gambit match. I'm gonna show you guys a Gambit match with the VSync off, and then I'm gonna turn my VSync on so you guys can see the difference. So you guys can actually see the difference. I'm gonna let you guys see the difference here, so you guys can see what I'm talking about. Because you might not be able to notice it on camera very well, but this is just so I can have peace of mind knowing that you guys at least can understand the point I'm trying to make. You don't have to believe the point I'm making, but at least you guys can understand it and see where I'm coming from here. Because I swear I'm not crazy, but I'm gonna prove to you that I'm not crazy. Because I'm actually gonna light this game up. So let's do it. Give it a moment, because it's gonna boot, and while it's booting, walk over here to my studio for just a second. This bad boy, this A9 tablet, it is amazing, and I have to say, I'm actually gonna be doing a follow-up review, 1 month later review on this, coming up soon. So stay tuned for that, because that's coming up next. And then the other thing I wanted to do, this office laptop over here, I wanted to revisit it, because some of you guys thought that last review that I did on that computer was trash, and I have to say I kind of agree with you. It was one of the first laptop review videos I ever made. So and I had that thing for over 2 years now. My friend probably had it for like a year before I bought it from them. So I'm gonna redo that. And probably not this week, or next week, because next week is graduation. By the way, you guys congratulate me in the comments, because hey, I finished a week early. I turned everything in. So I mean, pending grades and stuff. Grades come out on next Monday. But hey, I don't have to lift a finger for a week. So. Take that with what you will. So we're going to log in here, and I got my controller, HyperX Clutch. It's not sponsored. This video this whole thing is not sponsored, by the way. None of this is sponsored. So I'm saying whatever the heck I want, and HP can't come after me for it, because one thing is not sponsored, and also, what I'm saying is based on facts, so they can't come after me for it. Clearly. But HP, if you're listening, I wouldn't mind. It would be nice to have a sponsorship. I don't know, but just throwing that out there. I am open to that. My email is in my channel, so yeah, it's there. I don't think HP's watching this, but if they are, it's there. I really can't really have some laptops that I really want to test, and that would be very cool to test. So here you see it's about 144 hertz. Well, it's at 104. It was at 144. That FPS counter in the corner, it's gonna go down and go up a little bit. You're never gonna hit 144 100% of the time. You might hit it in like hyperspace or whatnot. But now let's see here. I'm going to turn my VSync off, and what I'm actually going to do, I don't have a tripod. I don't have a tripod anymore. My tripod broke. I was gonna. I think I may have a spare somewhere. Um, Tell you what. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna switch to my OBS software on this laptop. I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna record the screen. Let me grab my headset and I will be right back, and then we're gonna test this game. Alrighty then, you guys, so here we go. We are getting ready to start Gambit. And this is being recorded directly on my screen, so this actually is going to be a lot more high quality than it is going to be on my phone. And you guys are going to get to see me test out this game. So let's see. Actually, so probably, like, I would say, general rule of thumb before we do start this test, this is being recorded. I did remember that I forgot to plug in my battery, so I did plug that in. It's plugged in, 150 watt power supply, which came with the machine. Full disclosure, when I started recording, this OBS software is not actively taking off any frames. At least not at the time that I'm recording this. Now, when I do upload it, you guys may notice maybe like 5 or 10 FPS, and maybe a difference there, just in advance, so you guys are fully aware of that, because, you know, I can't control how the system or the encoding on this, the ones for recording, because there's no streaming encoding. By the way, I did forget to mention that if you do stream, this is not going to be for you, because the encoding is not very good. At least not the hardware encoding. Now the software encoding, it still works, but the hardware encoding is not there, so keep that in mind. But full disclosure, I don't know, can't control how the encoding treats this. So if you guys do notice 10 FPS drop, maybe 12 maybe, in the video itself, or if you guys are watching on a tablet or a screen that has an adaptive refresh rate, then you guys may notice a little bit of a difference here. Just a full disclosure up front, so there's no discrepancies. So you guys are aware if there are any discrepancies, and so that this test is fully transparent. You know what? I'd say I'm pretty good at Gambit. Don't roast me. I'm not trying to flex or anything. I've actually been playing this game since November of 2017, so about a month, maybe a month and some change after launch. So I actually got this for my birthday. My 15th birthday, I got an Xbox One, and this is the first game that I got with it. One of the first games. I got Minecraft too.
Enough fooling around. Scorn approaching.
Let me turn this down some. So if you guys are noticing that, you guys will see an FPS drop here and there. The FPS drops are crazy bad when you turn VSync off in Destiny 2. You guys notice that in the loading screen. You guys are going to notice that here. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to go kill some of these opponents so you guys can see how it makes a difference. If there's a lot of effects going on, or if you're playing Gambit or Crucible, yeah, it's going to be a problem. I just got 11 motes right now. Okay. And then once I do this next wave, I'm gonna turn on the VSync. You guys see it's at 49, 50 FPS. Now, when I turn on the VSync, it might get a little bit of a jump, but you guys will notice it's gonna be a little bit smoother. It's gonna be a lot smoother for you guys. And it's actually gonna try and target those frames a little bit better. Right. I got 15 motes. So I'm gonna go into a safe spot. Like this guy gets killed, and I'm gonna turn on VSync. Okay, turn on VSync, 144. Now look at that. It's gonna take a little while for it to warm up, but long story short, it's gonna hover around the same. But you guys can tell it's a little bit smoother. What it's doing is it's trying to force those frames to go higher. You guys did notice in the beginning when the menus were up that there was a lot of stuttering. If I turn the VSync on in those menus, or when we're in the Gambit loading screen, that would not be a thing. It would literally like smooth as butter.
Incoming hostiles at the ring.
Dang, I'm about to straight up die. Let's see. So yeah, so right now we're averaging 50, 51, maybe 52, and it's not that bad. We have an invasion portal.
The blockers must die, brother.
I need to show my Gambit skills. Some skills.
Medium blocker outbound. Portals up.
Alright, here we go. Alright, cool. So that's pretty good. Now, notice there's not as many frame drops as there were when I first started and when I was in that first stage. Not as many noticeable bits of lag. So it's not that bad. I am pretty impressed because Destiny 2 is a really demanding game. Oh crap.
Target destroyed. Bank and you'll summon a primeval. You want to win? That's how. Vader on the field. Careful. Take and run popping up on the enemy side. Good. Portal is primed. Lock it. You're invading. Make a mess. Enemy invader down.
Dang. Alright guys. So that's not too bad. All in all, I think this test is being pretty successful so far. I'm actually having fun with this.
Envoys in the dirt. Now kill the big guy.
Okay, here we go.
Watch your back. Invader incoming. Your allies invading. Invaders down. They're coming back to you. Enemy invader down. Envoys permanent. Now, bring the house down. The enemy team's about to win this. Get moving. Opposing team defeated their prime.
Alright, not bad. Alright, let's go to orbit so I can wrap this thing up. Alright, so let's see here. Turn that off. Alright, cool. So now you guys see what I was talking about. You guys would have been able to see from the loading screen and from the first initial wave, it didn't feel as smooth. Stutters. As soon as I turn that 144 hertz refresh rate on, it quickly manifested itself into very smooth. I didn't even notice any frame drops, quite honestly, after I turned the VSync on. So pretty good. Looked great. So I'm actually mighty impressed. Now, if you guys did like this review video, be sure to give it a thumbs up or a like button. Be sure to subscribe to the channel as well if you have not already. This is just an extension of my podcast, and I will go in and upload a video version of this to Spotify and an audio version to the podcast so you guys can watch or listen to it on my podcast as well, because you know how I like to do that sort of thing, so people can access it on their platform of choice. So if you choose to go over to Spotify and watch or listen to it, you guys are more than welcome to do so. I have an episode dropping very soon. So yeah, I'm gonna release that probably like a couple minutes after that first one drops, maybe an hour after the first one drops. So you guys can check that out on Wednesday, when both of those release. Okay. Well, it will be Wednesday when you're viewing this on the podcast. But if you guys are on my YouTube channel, you guys can go check that out on Wednesday. It'll be available, and I'll see you guys in the next video.